Doing an update on the housing market in Savannah, Georgia on this video. If you are new here, my name is Chelsea Winstead. I am a mortgage lender and a home financing strategist. What I specialize in is helping people buy homes all up and down the East Coast. These videos are meant to give you insight into what is going on in specific pockets within the places that I serve and to give you a rundown on what we are seeing with pricing, how long homes are sitting on the market, and specifically if you are looking to buy a home, how you can leverage this information to your benefit when it comes to putting in an offer and ultimately getting in the home at the best possible price. All right, so first thing I want to mention, so for Savannah, Georgia, Zillow reported that, so there's been about 326 new listings added to the market in May. So this is showing that it's stable month to month. However, this is actually down compared to last year. What we are also seeing is that median prices, there's a couple different places that report this, but we're seeing median price of a home in Savannah is anywhere from $335,000 up to $368,000. So that's the median. All right. Now, this is what I think is really interesting on pricing. So if you are new here, a huge thing that I've been talking about is that we're not seeing a crash, but we are seeing a cooling happen or a correction. Cooling is obviously a little self-explanatory, but it's where for a long time now, home prices have like completely exponentially grown. We are finally hitting a point where the growth is flat, and in some places we're actually seeing prices in pockets drop down. So this is interesting specifically for Savannah. So growth history, just to kind of like run through this. Okay, so in 2020, home prices grew by about 5%. In 2021, they jumped up to 21%. In 2022, they grew another 20%. 23 and 24, it was still growing at about a 9% average for those 2 years. Now get this, 2025, it is still growing, but only at 1%. So literally in 2021 and 2022, we're talking about home prices jumping 21 and 20%. Now in 2025, we are literally, I mean, it's like slightly going up, but at 1%, still a super clear cooling compared to the past. So again, market has shifted. Prices are flat to down slightly, especially compared to some of those boom years that we've seen. Now, wanted to mention this. Okay, so I wanted to look at also suburbs and smaller towns outside of the city. One thing for many of you, and this will probably ring true no matter where you're looking at, a lot of major metro areas, like the core city centers, most of those places will pretty regularly, continuously grow in value, even if it's not huge. Where you start to see drops happen is often the suburbs outside of that. So just to look at this, Chatham County, which is where Savannah is, technically that's a negative 0.4% year over year growth, which if you're buying a home, that's actually good because that means that actually home prices are slightly down compared to last year. But Bryan and Effingham County are both up by 2.5% and then 2.9%. So those suburbs, so if you're looking in that area, just know that Chatham County is going to actually be less expensive for pricing and you're probably going to have more negotiation power. But Bryan and Effingham are both growing still at 2.5 and 2.9%. So in those scenarios, it's probably going to be harder to potentially get something at less than the list price. Or just know that the home sellers in those areas are still able to list and increase the price point in comparison to some of the other areas. Okay, now this is actually pretty interesting and a huge thing that if we decide, so if you work with me, anyone who again lives on the East Coast, I'll tag this too at the end of the video. Part of my strategy as your financing strategist and your lender is that we actually look at your specific market. So we make a really personalized plan based on where you are looking, and we use that to determine your price strategy, what we think we're going to be able to get for seller credit, and then I give that to the real estate agent that we essentially pick together. If you have your own agent, obviously I can share that with them as well. But so this is what's really interesting. So based on a couple different reporting tools, On average, the days on market. So days on market when it comes to buying a home right now are huge. Okay. Huge, huge, huge. In between Rocket, Zillow, Realtor, and Redfin, homes in Savannah take 50 to 60 days to move. That for buyers is freaking huge. Okay. That's freaking huge, because the longer homes sit on the market, the more negotiation power you are going to have as a buyer. Okay. So if on average, and like just FYI, so like this is showing that 57 days is up by 22% compared to last year at this time. So last year at this time, the average was anywhere between 21 and 46 days. Now we're seeing that the average is anywhere from 52 to 60 days to sell in Savannah. So like that again is huge and allows you as a buyer to be able to come in and negotiate more on price, more on concession, things of that nature. This is also a good note. So we do have a statistic here that shows in Savannah, 61.5% of homes sold below their asking price in May. Once again, huge. Another thing is that at Georgia, so this is state level, just keep that in mind. But what we're seeing is in Georgia specifically, sellers offered an average of a 2% buyer credit, which again, that's like all across the state, but typically metros can often drive those numbers. And again, those concessions, typically most people range anywhere from 2 to 4%. Some loans you can do, like more concession, or you can ask for more credit. But the fact that 2% is the average, and also y'all, that's 2% of the purchase price. So just like quick math, if you're looking at a home, take the home price, times it by 0.02, and that is the amount of money that the seller on average is contributing to help you pay for different closing costs. One thing to note though, so typical home from reports is anywhere between 16 and 1,800 square feet. These are priced right now in Savannah in the mid 300,000s. So to confirm, so Savannah is cooling. Buyer leverage is real. It's not a full-blown crash. What sellers are expecting is that they're going to have to be willing to accept less than offer price. They're going to have to be willing to offer 2 to 3% of credit. And they know that the buyers in this scenario have a bit of control. The big thing too, again, is that with homes taking nearly 2 months to sell, you as a buyer have a lot of power in the negotiation. If you live in Savannah and you want something specific to this video, so you're like, hey, I'm looking at this area, or there's like, can you look into this specific neighborhood, or here's how big of a home I'm looking at. Feel free to drop any specifics for you personally in this comment. I am happy to help. Also, if you were looking to buy in Savannah within the next 1 to 3 months, head to the link on my profile. I would go ahead and fill out a form like right now for us to do a connection so we can start making a plan based on where you're looking. If you're looking to buy in Savannah within the next 3 to 6 months, also you can submit a form request. We can at least at minimum start building out a plan, have a convo, figure out where you are and where you need to be able to purchase. But I would say these videos that I am making, this is accurate for the next probably like 4 to 6 weeks. Housing markets change really quickly. But again, I think that for any of you, Savannah shows that we are definitely in a buyer's market, and you have much more leverage given the fact of how long homes are taking to sell, and given the fact that over 60% of homes in the area right now are going under, so they're being sold for less than what they were listed for.